back. It's your weekend politics. My name is Joseph Yang. We had a great time there talking with the Honorable Commissioner for Information. Now, last week, Friday, the 12th of June, Nigerians went out to celebrate what they called Democracy Day. Now, prior to this time, May 29 has always been celebrated as Democracy Day, at least in this nascent democracy of 27 years, until our current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came up and clearly stated that Democracy Day should now be June 12th. You know, bringing us back to the journey that started in 1992 with the late MKO Abiola. Tonight, I have joining me on set, a gentleman that will lead us through this democratic journey to tell us how we've fared, how Nigeria has come a long way with our democratic aspirations. In between, we've had some challenges of military interventions, but truly, let's see how the journey has been. Let me quickly introduce to us our guest for tonight, Honorable Dr. Edem Okokon. So good to have you. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Weekend Politics.
Good evening, my brother, and good evening, Cross River.
All right, so I would like you to give us a background of this democratic journey, at least from 1992. I'd like you to give us the background from there, because you've been a good student and a good follower of MKO Abiola. So talk to us all from there, and let's see where we stop today.
Alhaji Moshood Kashimawo Abiola actually represents what a decent democratic season should look like. A decent democratic school should look like. The man was largely detribalized. He was also not a partisan religious person, even though he was a Muslim. You call him to any function being organized by the Christians. But I want to group. There was a time in those days where they wanted to reconstruct St. Dominic Catholic Church in Lagos. He was one of the principal people that donated the highest, even though he was a Muslim. And so you see, Alhaji Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, as MKO was popularly known then, was a man that cut across every sphere of life. So it was easy for the politicians, for the ordinary people on the street to resonate with him. He was a man who was generous to a fault. And he was one of the richest person in Nigeria, and he used his wealth generously to affect and influence people. So this was the reason why he became a serious contender under SDP. And don't forget, in that particular primary election, I remember then at Jos Township Stadium, where we had the convention that brought out, it was a very keenly contested convention. We had people like King Gibi there. We even have our own Atiku Abubakar there. And MK came up top. And he was supported by great men like Paul Unongo and the rest of them. And he came out top. So it was a very keenly contested primary election. So already the atmosphere was already intense, or the hype was high before the emergence of Alhaji Tofa from NRC, of course. So bringing Alhaji Tofa and MKO Abiola was going to be an epic fight, given the strength of NRC then. Because it was largely a fight between SDP, Social Democratic Party, and the National Republican Convention of NRC. So you can see the climax, the hype that the whole thing created. So it was, so when the election actually commenced and closed, all of us knew that was the cleanest election ever conducted in this country. The cleanest and the best. You didn't have to rig, because the pedigree of the man in Congress speaks. We could clearly differentiate between MKO Abiola and Tofa. So when the election was annulled by President Badamasi Babangida's government, it brought the country to its lowest level. And of course, me and you clearly understand what took place, the chaos, the brigandage, the destruction that went in, and that also brought about the end of Babangida's era, and Abacha took over. Unfortunately, it was in the midst of this negotiation with the international body that MKO died. So this is the origin of what we call June 12th today. MKO signified that origin. Nigeria as a country is also seen that is actually having a good democratic election, devoid of all kind of chaos and whatever name calling is possible. So MKO represented that, June 12 represented that, and that's why we have June 12 today.
So looking at 1992 and these 27 years we've done so far, how would you rate this journey of democracy in Nigeria?
Democracy is an evolving thing, but I also want to tell you that 1999 was better. But we are. I will not mince words in saying that we have not done well enough. I'm not seeing any serious progression. Because when you benchmark 1999 and today, you're not seeing any serious progression. I feel that at this level of our democratic life, we should have gotten to a situation where all the principal actors can always be guided by a common rule. A common rule that is applicable to all. And we should be by able to strengthen our democratic institutions like INEC, for example, the judiciary, then they should have been strengthened enough for them to, withhold themselves from influence, from other political influences, so that whatever decision is taken there will be acceptable to all. But you see that, me and you can clearly see that as we are evolving, we are also degenerating. There's a positive, there's no real positive trajectory. From the foundation it was, but as we are going up, it becomes degenerated, so it becomes beginning to take some negative tone. So from my own sincere point of view, I think 1999 looks a lot more better in terms of the strength of democratic institutions and the quality of elections that we carry out.
Now, let's look at the man, MKO Abiola, and one of his political godsons, which is the current president of Nigeria. Our President Tinubu has been an ardent follower of the late MKO Abiola. So, looking at those examples, of MKO Abiola, do you see them reflected in the life of President Tinubu?
There are several factors that may hinder that. Don't forget, during MKO Abiola's era, we were engulfed in a military rule, and there was this military discipline that all of us were afraid of. But when democracy gives you room to say what you like, do what you like sometimes, provided you can prove that it's within the ambience of the law. But during the military era, we were guided by decrees. So everybody was afraid. So the environment then and now cannot be said to be the same. So I do not expect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, to act like as it was in the days of the military era, because of the openness of the system now that allows everybody to throw in their voice, those with positive voice, those with negative voice, they all throw it into the pool. Then it was actually guided. You just don't say anything anyhow because you know that you incur the wrath of the military leaders. But today, we have a free listing. So, like I said earlier, I also think and pray that His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will use his depth of knowledge during the Nadeco struggle when they were in the trenches. He should use those ones. Take the example of people like Frank Okori, the Pengasson man, so many other actors. You should tap from them and see how he can sincerely sacrifice for the sake of Nigeria. Not just looking at oneself, not looking at what we can aggrandize politically and otherwise, but looking at the sacrifice that we can put in place to build Nigeria. Nigeria that will be okay, that will be all right for our children. That our children can actually look back and say, yes, our dad, our father did try to give us this current environment.
You made mention of Nadeco, and I remember those were the gentlemen and ladies that fought for democracy. Now, then and now, do you think they will be proud to see what democracy has actually turned, what they fought for? Do you think this is what they actually fought for?
I think in some areas they may be, because also don't let us forget we have seen infrastructure trajectory in some places, positive trajectory in some places, particularly in the area of infrastructure. But in the area of social governance, I can't say in totality, because none of them would have looked today that will be ruled, our social environment will be controlled by bandits and Islamic jihadists. Nobody envisaged that, because they would have believed that the system would have been strong enough to contain this. But unfortunately, we have allowed the system to decay to a point where it has no power again to contain this banditry, terrorism, religious bigotry and everything. So there are in some areas they'll be proud, in some areas they wouldn't be. So I can't tell you that they will wherever they are in their grave now that they will applaud us, oh, these guys are doing well. No, They could applaud some areas, but some areas they definitely won't.
Okay, great. Now, let's also take a look at the economy. Let's look at the economy. Do you think that the democracy has really fared well in terms of economy if we are to place it side by side with the military regime?
Yeah, but there are some positive in the democratic season as far as the economy is concerned. There are also some good positive. Like, for example, during the military era, it was a small cabal of people. They are the one who rolled out the economic indices. You don't have to touch it, you can't feel it. We didn't actually know whether we are in a capitalist economy or a welfareist economy under the military. So we had a mixture of it because they were ruled by decree. It's because the decree doesn't actually take cognizance of our socio-economic environment. It's just the fiat. It's just fiat. One man sit down and say, this is what I think we should do. And it gets done. So in terms of the economy has grown a bit larger now. But have we managed the growth rate? No, we have not managed the growth rate properly. We have not at all, because I take an example of this current government. Yeah, removing subsidy was a good idea, but what did you put in place to buffer that subsidy removal? That amounted to putting the cart before the horse. For me, removing the subsidy was a fantastic idea, but what are we going to do? Because we should have by now believed or projected that when we remove this, there'll be a lot of hike in prices that will make life uncomfortable. What are we putting in place to mitigate this? We just didn't do that. This is why I'm talking about the failure of the system. You understand? Within 1 year, I think in this same platform we have discussed about this over and over. In the same year you took out the first subsidy, you also brought in power again. Increase in power. You should have allowed it to go step by step. Let's finish with the subsidy. Let people absorb that in. Let the economy absorb that before you put it again. Within this period of 3 years, we have had 3 major changes. The first subsidy, the power increase in tariff. Then we also have the tax, a controversial tax in this case. So at the national level, it has not been okay at all. It has not been well. So I really expect the government at the national level to sit back and critically look at where we have faltered, where we have stumbled, and then wake up from our slumber and begin to put things in the right place. The people are suffering real much.
Let's look at insecurity. We seem to have heightened insecurity in Nigeria at least since 2010. When the leader of Boko Haram was killed by the Nigeria police force. Let us look at this. Do you think democracy would not have the mind to address this? Because some people are saying that our leaders do not have the political mind to address insecurity headlong if we were to be in the military regime. Let's look at insecurity in democratic reign.
Yeah, the insecurity we have now is hydra-headed. It's hydra-headed in the sense that it has multiple. As you chop off one head, you'll find another head coming up, and we allow this head to grow. Nigeria, with a land space of almost 180,000 square kilometers, it's a very big space. But over time, we should have taken cognizance of our large space and also increase the level of our security personnel to match up. Like I said, the normal standard per police per person is about 1 police to about 6 persons. But today, what do you have? We have 1 policeman to about 240 people, or about more than 500, or close to 500 people. That can't work in the modern era. It just can't work. For a population of about 230 million, and we have a police force that's less than 1 million. What do we talk about? What are we talking about? We have a military force that's less than 1 million. In fact, if you combine our army, combine our air force, and our navy, we are less than 1.2 million. In this era, it's not all going to work. So this is the failure of the system, the failure of our political system, to have looked ahead and look at the growth rate of because we have insufficient institutions that read out statistics. We know our growth rate. For example, the National Population Council always tell you currently our urban growth rate is about 2.3%, while our rural growth rate is about 2.6%. So ordinarily, as a leader of economy, you should be able to say that if our population grows, what do I do in terms of security to back up this increase? We are not thinking in that direction. This is the direction we are not thinking. So we find the insecurity has grown so big that it looks as if it's something that is overwhelming them. And let us roll out the acts of our political actors. Some of these things are caused by them. Some of these people were recruited to to help them win elections. And over time, like I said, this issue of Israel has grown bigger than them, bigger than what they actually thought it to be, because the thing actually turned around to hunt some of them. But we thank God for Cross River State. We have leaders who have always been steadfast, who have never employed these tactics. So we should always give God the glory for our own state.
Absolutely. Now, in one of your comments, you said that democracy in Nigeria is actually evolving. So, at what point can we say we now have a mature democracy that has reached maturity? Now, let's look at Indian democracy, several years. And we can assume that it has reached some level of maturity. Also, that of the USA, it has reached some level of maturity. At what point do we think that democracy in Nigeria will get to that point that it's okay, at least it's not just a baby democracy, but it's a democracy that has been able to hit some level of maturity?
Well, I wouldn't say. I would want to hold you there that you can't even say that United States has reached that level of maturity. The beautiful thing about democracy is constant recreation and constant re-evolution. You understand? It's constantly evolving. So we can't say that we've gone to, but the beautiful thing is for you to also match the pace of that evolution. What we have not done as people is that we have not been able to match the stage of that evolution. Okay, let's take a look at the statistics today. Our population statistics shows that more than 65% are people under the age of 35. That means that we are dealing with very vibrant young population that are how do I call it? They are computer savvy. So you see the way our social media is bubbling, and they are the principal people driving it. But unfortunately, we have leaders who did not know that time like this will come. So there's no absolute control. When you look at India is the largest democracy in the world. Sometimes there are still skirmishes between the Sikhs and the Buddhists, between the minority Muslims. You still find them, and that's what the crisis still we see that that we'll see in the Kashmir region and India, because a small population of India are still Muslim. So the democracy there has still not been able to attend to all the problems. That's why I'm saying that not maturity, the fact that we are evolving. So for us as Nigerians, we are not just evolving at the pace at which democracy is moving. When democracy is moving at the geometrical rate, we are here crawling at the arithmetical rate.
What could be the problem?
The problem has to do, it's multidimensional. The problem has to do with the fact that the leaders of yesterday has not properly, maybe because of the interjection of the military, we've not properly been schooled in democratic norms and principles that has been passed down. We can't pass it down easily. But what we still have to do is, I'll give you an example. If you find a policeman who say, hey, you stop there. It shouldn't be in the democratic system. You should have a courteous police that relates with you in a courteous manner. And but the hey is still the military style. So we are still engulfed in military culture. And that's some of the things we bring into our democracy. You see, five people will tell you that what we can sit down and make it and resolve, let's go to court. Instead of sitting down to, that's the beauty of democracy, the fact that we can orchestrate, we can talk to ourselves. That's the beauty of democracy. But we in Nigeria, we are shifting away from those norms and those principles. We are rather taking the military approach to it, and that's why we're having it all wrong.
Okay, now let me quickly add to maybe as a follow-up on that. What's the biggest threat to the Nigerian democracy today?
The biggest threat is still the people. The biggest threat is still the people. If you don't strengthen,
why would you say it's the people?
Yes, it's people, because if you don't strengthen institutions to guide the way and manner the people behave, the behavioral pattern of the people, if you don't have institutions that can checkmate it, then the people will ultimately turn around, consuming in the form of revolution. It could be negative revolution, it could be positive revolution, but they'll consume democracy in the form of revolution, and there could be chaos and anarchy, confusion everywhere.
Why don't you blame the leaders instead of the people?
No, because the leaders, that's why I said in my earlier discussion, the leaders have not done well, because they've not been able to hand over, respected and proper democratic principle and norms that we can pass down to the generation. So we are passing nothing to the generation. So what they are just doing is waking up and thinking that this is how it should be. And then we don't also have institutions that are strengthened, institutions that can guide the way they behave. I'll give you an example. If you carry out the survey concerning our courts now, not many people have faith in the judicial system, judicial system any longer. The legislature has also been turned to a comedian, I mean, a place for comedy. So this is not how it should be. It shouldn't be this way. And we don't also have, executive people in the executive rank that can call people, negotiate, and we don't. Flaunting wealth. Yesterday I was reading something about Aliko Dangote and his wealth, and the man was actually portraying Aliko Dangote as a complete gentleman with all the wealth. You see, find the children very disciplined, the man too very disciplined, and you compare to our brother Obi Kubana, who showcase the wealth as if water, money and water. What message are you sending to the young generation? What message are you sending to people in your class? That is in a civilized country, or in a weird civilization, such a people should be checkmated, because that's not our lifestyle.
Now, what gives you hope that this democratic journey will succeed in Nigeria?
No, it will definitely succeed. You see, we have a classical example of our own governor here, very humble person. Does not discard advice. He listens to every advice. So with men and women like him in place, there's hope.
Finally, before I let you go, Doctor, talk to us. Nigeria has just celebrated 27 years of unbroken democracy. What will be your message to Nigerians watching this and also cross-Nigerians watching the show right now?
My message to Nigerians, first and foremost, is that we must continue to have faith in democracy, because democracy, no matter how bad it is, still better than the best military. So it gives us space to explore ourselves, it gives us space to explain ourselves, it gives us space to shadow box ourselves, and the system still remain. So we should have trust in democracy, we have belief in democracy, while at the same time working hard to strengthen it. For my states, we lack what we have been going through here from 1999 till date. We have never had governors that have been shadow boxing themselves, never had any serious political rancor or chaos in this state, and I believe that those of us that are coming behind will imbibe the works of our heroes past and ensure that we're going to sustain this. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Edem Okokon, thank you so very much for your time on the show. It's always been a delight hosting you on Weekend Politics. We look forward to talking with you the more on the show. And this is where we draw the curtain close on Weekend Politics tonight. Let's do this again next week, Sunday, God willing. Till then, my name is Joseph Iyan. Good night.